Probably significantly below par for a surfer like him. 5-5 on this right-hander. Here we go. There's Jordy Smith swinging into action here. Just a couple of lazy paddles. Pretty easy to get on this thing and get up and going. Using that whitewater section to bank off and just make a little bit of room to snap. So a couple of those now. Tube section will present itself. Will stuff himself in. He's got a big, big frame. He does well to make it compact and at the same time just to keep driving. There's a pump and he'll get the Superman. So completely dismounts, grabs both rails, both feet off the board. Couple of hits, something completely different. Haven't seen one of those complete so far in this event. Now he's on the gas. He'll need to go complete here. Big ramp section, massive alley-oop to the roof. Smith in full flow, snaps out the tail, and he'll belt this again. Jordy Smith in a little bit of a situation. What a way to respond.
Wow, that was true veteran style, just so composed. And I just love that creativity. I mean, on the other hand, Miggy watching, just pretty nervous, obviously, as you would be. That was a pretty well-surfed wave. It was, you know, had that creativity, had expression, something a little bit different to look at. Let's see, parks it in the tube here. Big man, and negotiating that well. And then this is the moment. Quick little Superman there. Just demonstrating that creativity. We haven't seen that yet, so that's exciting. Carves into that. You can sort of see, gets a bit of more of a pep in his step after this. Surfing with a bit more intensity, sort of a bit of speed, bit more speed too. And then straight out the tube, into the alley-oop. I mean, just really asking the question of the judges now. And Jordy just putting on a clinic. It's so impressive, isn't it? I mean, he's like one of the tallest surfers on tour, to be able to get that much pop, that much lift throughout the midsection of the wave and then back it up with this alley-oop as well.
This wave as well, we'll revisit that theme about the rookies. It's not so much of a disadvantage, you feel, in lots of ways, in terms of, certainly in terms of familiarity with the spot. Here we go, left to complete the run for Bunch. Here we go, the goofy on the forehands, up and into the lip. Just tagging one nice and vert, gets a full rail jam, using that edge to good effect. So looking for the tube, gets a pump, and then tries to get behind the curtain. Won't get there initially, and then it'll get a little more throaty, and he'll get some more cover. Now you see the squirt for speed, now you see a punt, and he'll land that on the face, he'll revert back, and he'll tag it again. Bunch. Building up speed and stalling almost at the same time there. And then a big ramp section, a massive alley.
Wow.
The landing is absolute butter. Just feather pillows on that landing for Jackson Bunch. Gets the air reverse to finish as well, and he loves it.
Holy, that was incredible. You can see Griff just getting fired up after watching that performance of Jackson. That was an incredible wave. Really well surfed, 3 aerial maneuvers. What I love the most is that one at the beginning, right? He puts the wave all on the line. The rest of the wave's in jeopardy. If he doesn't make that first creative move, the whole thing's over. And you just see him here just set up this little section. Doesn't get incredibly deep here on the tube, but he's like, okay, let's make the most of this. I'm going to come slingshotting out of this barrel. You can see him really lining up this section. Goes to the air, gets the grab, and then just keeps firing off shots down the line. Beautiful surfing once again, lining up for this big alley-oop. And, you know, he's not even done after this. I mean, let's just talk about the landing. Let's talk about how smooth that was, straight into that carving maneuver. Let's talk about the height of that, and he wasn't done yet. Okay, he's asking a very big question of Griff right now. I mean, we just saw, let's go back to that last heat with Jordy. We saw an 8.17, the first excellent score drop for Jordy. And then what are we going to see here? We've just seen 3 aerial maneuvers.
Here's the response straight away to complete the run. He'll get 2 runs, of course. Best right and best left will score Ferreira. He'll chop a turn to open up. We'll give that one a bit of treatment. Lay back energy into the tube. So 2 maneuvers into the tunnel. Ferreira. Out he'll come here. Now what's he got? This section crucial for him. Look how much swing he gets into these visits to the lip. And then just snaps one out in the pockets. setting up pretty early here for a ramp section. He'll get an absolute ton of speed. He'll go massive with the oops straight down to the flats, and then an angry snap on the transition to finish. An epic response from Ferreira on the left, and it's with the panel now.
Whew. Wow, that was so high. It was so lofty. He covered a lot of ground too on that air. I love, you could just see him winding up for it. It's that expectation. How big's he going to go? He went giant. And there was a lot of work that got done before that. If you think back to that performance section 2, just how critical, that layback jam in the pocket. And then this is that first barrel, maximizes that tube time. The damage that he got done out of this was pretty impressive. Big fin release there. Followed up by a second one. He knows he's done two of the same, so he gets a little bit of differentiation there with that layback, and then lining up for this inside section, Stace.
Yeah, like you said, Paul, he was pretty early to set it up, but you knew the earlier they'd set it up, the more speed and the higher he's going to get, and just straight into the transition. Thanks for coming. I wondered if the 667 was going to get him fired up in a bad way, and to be honest, when he started that wave, it looked like he was, trying his absolute hardest to get the wave going, but I was stoked to see him get to this point in the wave still on his board, because in the warm-ups we've been seeing this, and for him to do it with the Rashi on, that's another level, and that's one of the best ones we've seen.
Wow, he just travelled so far, the distance, right? Definitely got the loft and the height there, but for me, it was just that distance travelled. Just had so much speed going into it, just carried that through the air.
How you can get him is the first two waves. He needs to finish both of these two waves without a doubt and put the pressure on.
Let's see if he can do that here. Igarashi climbs the foam and swoops around, set up. Third turn into that lip, pressure on that back foot on the tail. There's a fourth maneuver. He'll put this into the tube. Igarashi disappearing in the first section. He'll get a pump and then he'll exit. Now carving down, using the full face and then snapping that one in the lip. Layback turn, so 3 distinct maneuvers through the mid part of the wave. He'll set up here and use a ramp. And he'll go the corrupt. And again, snapping back just to finish. Gets just slightly hung, but that actually just makes it even more impressive when he is able to squirt out. So that rotation has been something that everyone's looking for, but throw it in the corrupt to offer a little variety. Igarashi, good way to kick things off.
Oh, that was so good. You see Felipe sort of watching on there. He's got the headphones in, but Kanoa right there, just a super measured approach, just really well paced. You can just see the experience just oozing from his surfing, really. Just fantastic variety as well, just surfing at a great speed and great rhythm. Just never once did he look out of rhythm right up until that very last bit, sure, but this whole wave, up until that corrupt, just perfect timing. Perfect decision for what maneuver to put in what place as well. Variety of maneuvers, combos, and then, watch him set up this end section and just absolutely punt and just bringing that creativity. And today, the trend for me with the judges is they want to see creativity. They want to see a few different areas. They appreciated Jordy's Superman earlier today. And let's just watch this.
Which was surprising to me.
Elaborate.
Well, I think it's 2025.
Yeah.
And as amazing as Jordy is, and I actually was really cheering for him. I think he's surfing really good, particularly on the wave face. But
the wave system with the Kelly Slater Wave Company technology. Download it now, play for free. Get it on the App Store and in Google Play. Find out more on our website on WorldSurfLeague.com. Already attacking a lot of great sections out the back is Jack Robinson. One of the best barrel riders in the world. Doesn't have to even be pipe. It could be point breaks. It could be 1 foot beach breaks. He is so connected. Nice flow over the top of that section. So he's trying to improve on a 7.33 to improve his right score. Giant alley-oop again, and a similar type of carve where he just stops all of his speed. I'm sure you have a book about all the different types of speed-burning carves as well.
No, we don't have that. It's specifically to that turn. It's just the finna that the Aussies would call it.
The thinner, yeah. That's a cool carve to kind of carve to slide. You get your tail all the way out the other end. Jack's been liking it as a finish on his right-hander as we break it down.
I love how solid Jack just looks on that wave and just doing almost exact the same what he did on the previous right, but just a little bit more possessed, like a little bit more drive through the turns, pushing that tail harder. Beautiful tube technique right there for him, which expectable. And then he's going to start unloading here. Brings that carve all the way back around, pushes that fin. He's going to get one and then another one before that big setup for the alley-oop. And this one might have been even higher. Would be nice to actually maybe try and have a split screen of that, like just to see how high he got compared to the other one, because those waves are pretty similar. I think that's going to be a big difference in between the scores. But look how much he opened up on that turn right after the barrel. Beautiful surfing from him, pushing that. That's what I'm mentioning. He's pushing it more, so it feels like he didn't leave. He left less in the bone on that wave. Like he like it almost feels like he's going to grow in the score in that one. Like it's kind of undeniable. And that felt like it was a bigger alley-oop as well. Landing in transition, almost stomped it a little bit harder. More dramatic, and finished it off with a nice drawn-out carve. Felt like he was going to cut back that thing.
Vahine setting up run number 2. Really love that first turn. It's a slopier canvas to start, but she hit it with purpose. The third turn supposed to be the money turn, and she was able to drill it right there. Now into the barrel, showing that she can do it backhand or forehand inside the pit. The surfer from French Polynesia gets out of that long backhand tube, hammering that section, letting go of a lot of spray, and now putting her head down to get barreled again. Vahine looking solid. Snap there, hits it hard again. What a performance in quarter number 2. Looking for improvement on her right, which was already her best score. A 6.67 on her first right. Where are we going with that one?
I mean, personally, I think this is the best wave surfed on the women's side so far. Deepest barrels, longest barrels. The aggression that she actually, she pushed a little bit harder on the beginning of that wave, which was kind of her flawless in my eyes from the previous ride. She was like safety surfing, nursing a little bit too much. Still critical, good timing, but right there she really pushed it, as we're going to see it right here. First turn to set up, the wave gets steeper. Look how critical she gets on that turn. Then does that beautiful layback drag. And then this is when she's on the next level compared to the opponents. Look how deep she's going to get in this section right here. The wave's going to start running in front of her. She does the high line to make sure she comes out. Keeps herself very calm throughout that section because she's not seen much because all that water coming down her face. And then once again, get another barrel. Beautiful technique and finish it off strong. She already got a 6.67 in her first wave. I mean, and how much improvement she had on that last wave. Or sorry, her first ride. So how much improvement she had on this last ride. Look at that technique, touching the water. Look how much rail she has. Getting dug right there in a good way. Beautiful tube stance. Look at her back knee touching the deck of the board to give that stability, and also giving her the opportunity to kind of open up her shoulders.
Not sure we're really seeing that from her. I think she's just kind of rolling with it, whether she was, trying to make sure she stayed on tour by making the cut, or whether she is the world champ. We just get Caity Simmers in a natural artistic self, and it looks pretty good. Here she goes, opening run for her, kicking off on the right, little crumble to the lip line. She'll use that well. The last turn was inventive and creative. The barrel is deep, committed, loads of cover, gets that secondary section as well. Middle section here, using the rail. Simmers, as ever, with great rhythm to things and looking really comfortable, so nothing's hurried or forced. She looks pretty relaxed. She's deeply tunneled in the second tube.
Wow.
Grab rail, carve the snap. Caity Simmers, she is going great out here thus far.
Wow, she's looking so good. There was so much variety there, and my favorite part of that wave was just her entry into that first barrel. We've seen a lot of people waiting for it and like preempting when it's going to happen, but the turn she did before the entry to the barrel set her up just to go straight into it. So let's have a look here. Gets a couple of turns underway. And it's that moment there that gets her position pretty deep, and then she just goes up and underneath. She's not waiting for it, which I really like, not using any of that downtime, and that in turn makes her so deep in that barrel. And then here in this moment, I mean, series of maneuvers, all different, lots of variety. Goes the big layback jam here and just perfectly sets up this inside tube for a really deep pit. So I'm thinking this is going to go pretty high. Gives us more variety on the inside with that trademark grab rail out the barrel. So really, really good things from Caity right now. I mean, Bella's got a pretty hard task ahead of her. Obviously, current world champ, and she's come out firing. Just so in control. And just looking steezy too, you know, up, under there. Cool, calm, collected.
Unbelievably relaxed as well. You know, we think about the criteria, and there's a lot of words in there. It's based obviously about the maneuvers that you're doing, but just your sort of overall impression, almost like an alternative criteria. Just looking really, really relaxed. I thought just rather than...
Italo throwing quick shakas to everyone that's screaming his name down in the Red Bull athlete zone. His girlfriend proud of that opening ride. CT by the number, 17 plus heat scores in the wave pool. We've got Italo with 2 of those. Tying only Felipe Toledo. How cool is that little layback dagger to pull into the pit? Traveling, nice low, compact style. He could hold this position for about a mile with how strong he is. Getting nice and loose and spicy off that lip liner drift, and look at him punching free of the whitewater again. Now getting some speed, clear for takeoff. Full road on the alley-oop. Grab rail, finishing carve for Ferreira to put together a dreamy opening run in the quarterfinals.
I mean, we talked about Rio being solid and starting with 2.7s, and this is Italo's version of that. Amazing backhand coming into the forehand, just mixing it up with that big alley-oop in the end. I mean, that's a lot of pressure added to Kanoa right now. He's really going to have to perform. Beautiful layback. Sits on the barrel right there, which for me personally, usually this is the easiest part of the wave for the surfers, mostly on the men's side. This is where you kind of get some time to rest and take a few breaths and reset for this part of the wave. This is very important. It's so hard to keep the focus throughout the whole wave. It's such a long wave we're not used to. The surfers are not used to surfing that long of waves. It's very demanding, and to finish it off with that big alley-oop in transitioning, actually gaining speed as he was landing. So impressive from him. This is the layback on slow-mo. Look how extended he is. Cuts it short right there to make sure he doesn't waste too much time set up for the barrel afterwards. And this is when he starts to aim it down, measuring how much coverage he's going to have to get. Whips it all the way around, lands it perfectly.
Look at that number for Italo, an 8.5. That's enormous in the wave pool. Incredible surfing, gigantic alley-oop, landing at bolts with an aggressive grab rail cutty to show how much control he had, and throws a big heart to the fans here in Abu Dhabi. And some of them are watching world-class surfing for the very first time.
Looking at the left now for him, and he went huge. Getting the 8.5 with his first left. So a big task in front of him to improve on that, but what that means is he's going to have to try and bring his best, which sounds pretty good in terms of what he's going to attempt to do here. Ferreira being creative, finding that cover. Nice cylindrical section for him at the moment. It's well paced and it's poised, and then that's super extended as the leg strength and the athleticism. He'll chop one on a rail. Ramping up here. Think we know what's coming. Weaving for speed. Again, an absolute beast of an alley-oop. And he just tears in with the gouge on the face. Gives it a little kiss in the lip line to finish as well.
He took that one from Ian Gouveia. That's Ian Gouveia's favourite claim, that one.
Wow. He's got that alley-oop on lock. It seems like he's unlocked that secret part of the wave. He just knows with the feel, he knows the section he's looking for. Perfect timing, and absolutely nails another left. So just applying even more pressure, really. He's just seen such good form. What do you see, Stace?
God. Ripping, basically. I mean, a turn like that wasn't crazy, but I know the judges are going to love the drama. A little bit of a, whoa, is he going to fall moment. He didn't, of course not, but it's cool. Adds a bit of excitement to the pit. And then I think this is sort of the difference between your two veterans and your world champions. Jackson Bunch has this manoeuvre on tap, but he doesn't quite have he's only got the 9 version in him at the moment. He doesn't really have the setup one. This is obviously the 9 version. But it was he got the confidence out of the first wave to go this big on the next one for just dialing it back a little bit. The angle of entry on this one is so much more critical than the first one. He was a little more lateral on the earlier wave, but it's still got a really high score, and I'm expecting this one to go over, so it's going to put a lot of pressure back on Kanoa.
I mean, you even look at the turns that he got done out the back. Not this one, the one we just watched. I mean, he was airdropping down with the lip, and it's when you're hitting that section coming out of that first barrel, it is so critical if you're putting it up straight to lip. Let's look at this air. To your point, Stace, just that entry point, just more critical. Super tail high there, and just silky smooth landing. Straight into that layback hack. 0 downtime between the two.
All right, we'll dive into it here and just make a comparison on the split screen, having a look, comparing these maneuvers in terms of height. So this on the right is the one we just saw. Previous is on the left.
That's something that I think is going to be challenged right here because his back's against the wall. And you mentioned he probably wants to match Jack's 7.7. I think it needs to be like an 8.33 or higher to really put the pressure back on Robbo.
On the forehand, Dora looking to try and match some of his historic numbers that he's been able to post with a string of 9-point rides. You can already see a big spring in his step from the opening turns. And then the cover from him. Inside that barrel section, out he comes, hanging one in the lip, gets a mid-face pump, so not going straight back up for a maneuver. And then just swings out that tail, gets his nose going completely the wrong way. Check the speed here. From a low line, he'll go into a big old alley-oop. Absolutely stomps it, raking the rail line.
Wow.
And then he'll throw the tail, he'll revert back. That is exactly the way he needed to respond to what he did on the right. We're game on here.
Oh, wow. I mean, this is going to be a giant score, right? It was pretty impressive. You could see as soon as he stood up that he looked like he had a bit more power, a bit more acceleration, and a bit more grit to him.
Sick. Frothing. That's exactly what this heat needed. I kind of made it out like he wasn't going to get 3 turns for the pit, and he absolutely belted 3 huge turns before the barrel. But it's just this variety through the middle section. His tail's all over the place. He's sliding around, but he's not losing that forward momentum that some of the other surfers sometimes struggle with if they're, gee, that's a dangerous turn right there, they'll say that. But it didn't matter. He just wiped it off, and this turn here, incredible. And then I thought, oh, no, he's butchered. He's going to be too far behind. No chance. What did you like about it, Flick?
I just loved... Wow. He really got the tail high there. You could really see, I feel like you could see he was trying to emphasize that. It was almost like he was in control more so than what other surfers have been in the air, and just that body awareness and the placement of the board, it kind of looked like to me that he was really trying to make an effort to make sure that tail went really high.
Yeah, he sort of drifted a bit first before, almost like delaying the rotation, or certainly made it look like that.
It felt like it was intentional, right? Like sometimes you get it into the air and it's kind of like, okay, whatever way I'm going here. Whereas to me, it looked like he had a bit more control as he punched through the lip here, just to really send that just magic. Seriously good stuff.
He nearly over-rotated, but that just added to the drama. And then I love, and this is just to speak to Yago's full game, is that he's able to do this manoeuvre and not lose the wave, whereas you'll see Italo finish the wave with the same turn, but it's just, for whatever reason, hasn't been able to come out and do this as consistently as Yago, and it's just... He's got loose hips. He can do whatever he wants, and a big claim, and as he should be, a huge score there.
What would you do in that situation with the 7.5 already such a high score on the right and needing to better, needing the energy to better on that last left?
I think you just wouldn't want it to come down to a 0.5 decision. I'd be swinging for an 8 at least, looking for improvement, but she's got a good pace, nice rhythm, pulls in. At this point of the event, they're just doing this on feel. They know what each section feels like. Pushing harder, little extended slide, puts her in a great spot to drill it again. 2 big moves for Picklum. Attacks it, flows into the hollow part of the wave. Let's see if she changes gears on her finish. She's been loving a carve, this time a grab rail, Caity, and has enough room to throw down a few more extras, and she'll step off.
You're right, Joe. You're definitely right. And that's the case scenario of having an identical wave come for you after you already have a sustained, solid foundation on your first wave. You just know you need to push a little bit harder. Have the same line, but push harder. And that's exactly what she did. And the most damage was done on this turn right here, setting herself up for success on that beautiful tube ride. But even more on the last few turns before the barrel, you're gonna see her. She's gonna do this nice finner right there, and now she's gonna push a lot, way more than she has been doing. At least on top of the coping right there. Point of difference, aggressive. Getting the fins free, which is very technical and hard to control, and finish it off strong. Like, I mean, I personally like this wave better. Let's see what the judges think. But that's what I'm talking about. She's going to press on that back foot, and now she's going to start transferring weight to the front foot. You see how on top of her front leg she is, and that helps her get the fins disengaged. And she does that once again, but a little bit less, and you can see the difference in approach of her stance and balance on top of the board right there. A little bit more balanced it out, but the first turn really pushing the back foot and transferring all that weight to the front foot to get that nice. No clue if she's going to take off and maybe do a drawn out cutback, and you have the most powerful surfer that's going to stick to her guns and is going to move as much water as possible here.
Last year's world champ setting up that rail, fading. Just looks so free in these lines. Way out in the flats for that bottom turn to set up this tube ride. Loves getting barreled. Runner-up at Pipe this year, champ the year before. 5 CT wins in 2 seasons. Now she's setting up the end section barrel. Simmers representing Oceanside, California, getting trained, and see how she plays with the end section. Real stylish off the top, belts it more vertical again, then steps off with pure stoke. Youngest world champ in history. Looking to go back to back and off to a great start. Already back on top of the leaderboard. And adapting to a new venue very quickly, just like champions do.
Man, she's playing the game now. Like, that's what I've noticed from this year. Like, she's different. Like, she's competing more, being smarter, and that's what she did in this wave. Like, didn't try and get too fancy, just straight to work. Amazing tube riding. Notice that technique on her front foot and back foot. Like, moves forward, and now she's gonna bring that back foot backwards once again, because that's where the board's most sensitive. It's right on top of the fins. It makes you direct the board faster. And once again, she's gonna move her back foot forward. Right there. It's in front of the pad. She moves it backwards once again. She'll finish with that big turn. That's just footwork to its max capacity.
Gabriela Bryan taking it in from Richard Dog Marsh, her coach, a great human being, his dog, and still passionate about the sport of surfing at the highest level. Caity Simmers is going different on us here. Drawn out roundhouse cutback, and then combos it up with a big climb, just like she was at lower trestles. Now setting up this barrel, wide open pit, just like she was at Snapper Rocks. Comes out almost like a stand-up pit there and lays it down. Judges are going to love that creativity. Blowing the fins out. Oh my goodness, releases that lean back into the barrel late. Simmers is out, and now winding up for the end section. Beautiful snap there, and she'll just let go. One of the dreamiest rides we've seen in the last couple of days. Changing gears on her lines. bringing spark to one of the most classic moves in the game, that big roundhouse on that opening section.
I think I've mentioned about the roundhouse, right? Like, you never know what she's going to throw at us, and that's the first thing that comes to mind. This is the only turn no one does it at the pool, and I feel like she almost took off deeper than anyone has ever did, at least in this event, to get that speed down the line. As soon as people are taking off, she was doing that drawn-out carve. Beautiful phone climb, and still does that third turn, so she had to be taking off at least 10 or 15 foot deeper than everyone. And you can notice that, look how tall she's standing. I mean, not many people would be able to pull that off, because a lot of the boys mostly are much taller than that. And then look how much she's going to push on this turn right here. Beautiful layback snap. And then she gets as deep as you could possibly do once again. Kind of goes for that carve with the rail grab, but it was a little bit too bottomed out of a section, and she kind of gets it more aggressive into it. Look at the technique, how she's going to look back into the foam, eye it down, where she needs to hit it. It's so hard to do out here, like redirect your board that much. And it just sets her up into success, into a perfect timing. That was so pleasant to the eye, Joe.
That was beautiful. A 9.57 best score goes to the reigning world champ, almost getting, well, a bit closer to the 10. But the transition into the barrel, she actually had an attempt at that roundhouse earlier, but didn't make the section, sprayed the fencing. So she took advantage of an opportunity to try out that move. She released a roundhouse cutty on way to her world title at lowers as well. Just the way she does it is... Oh, I enjoyed every bit of that, Caity, with her coach, Tommy Whitaker, talking about the nerves of chasing a 3 score and how much that could get into your head. Here comes Gabby Bryan. There also we're diving into what she might do here. She had a 7.5. She's going to try to really get it closer by getting this into the excellent range. Good start out the back. Quick look at the barrel. Big money turn there. She looks at her tail pad, crushes it again. Flexing off the lip with the fins out, putting everything into every maneuver. Gabriela pulls up and under. She's going to get drained. Makes it. Throws in a lot into that open face hammer and shuts it down. Holy smokes. That was brilliant.
Did you hear Dog on the back just going, wow. How could you not?
Wow, she's got a fire hose on the back of that Mayhem, throwing so much spray. But a lot of differences in the way she throws power. She can throw those little jams on the face and then go off the lip and blow the fins out.
And that actually happens when you're back against the wall and you actually need a massive score to match that 9.57. You're going to see here, she started to unleash it, bringing something new, a little bit more critical. Look how much she pushes that back foot. And this one, even more, kind of a layback snap with some tail throw. And those are all back-to-back maneuvers. Like, we see a lot of surfers pushing it one turn and then kind of regrouping into the next one and keeping the flow, but she did 4 times back-to-back.
That sequence of power hooks was unbelievable.
Look at this. Look at it inside Rio getting digged once again in a good way. Like half of her board was inside the water. And let's just mention that she cleaned up the problem that she had on the previous wave. Look how deep she gets in that barrel. Comes out. And finish it off strong once again. Listening to her coach, Doug Marshall. Clearly, she did a lot of adjustments into this ride. Tommy Witt's even impressed, a.k.a. Easter Bunny right there.
Caity moving on, reigning world champion, back to world number 1 as we get started with Ethan Ewing springing into that first section, compressing off the bottom, great flare off the second hook and drills the third. He might just keep on swinging off the roof and now pulling in. So sometimes we're thinking 3 turns off the back. He got 4 before the barrel. There's that big wedge section and spent some time on it, didn't he? Ends up throwing the fins in front of him. Nice little splash of water off the lip and then lunges into the pit. He's got control. The man from North Stradbroke Island will end up losing his final turn.
You know, when we've been talking about how some surfers are able to put in another gear and they kind of slow themselves down in the beginning to save the best for last. You can clearly see on that wave, as soon as he took off, how much more energy he's putting and how much more effort he's putting to the waves. And that's just smart surfing. Like, he went to town on that wave, and you can see the difference of speed on the bottom turns, like doubling up that like bottom turn pump and getting that fork maneuver before that barrel, cutting through the water sharper, pushing it harder, as we're gonna see it right here. This next turn, beautiful tail release right there for him, but a power tail release. One more, gets even another one before Cat reflexes to transition into that turn and barrel, but came undone on the last turn. Right there, that wave just bottomed out a little bit too much in front of him. Tight transition.
No, you don't get into the final unless you can beat the absolute best. He's coming up against here one of the outstanding surfers of a generation, and he'll need to improve on his 727 on the right first of all, and then he'll need to significantly improve on the left, just sliding out and getting loose and liberated. Wow, so we're seeing that reverse in the opening section. Haven't seen much of that at all. So he's given this everything. Great tactic. Look at the load up here, out of the tube. And then releasing that tail to just slide it out. So super creative. Hammers that turn to chuck loads of spray. And the second tube section, Rio Waida from Indonesia behind the curtain. He'll want a strong finish here. He'll hang up a big snap in the lip. And then he'll wrap to reverse on the end. Not done yet. A little 3 to finish for Rio Waida. A great chance of improving the 727. Great competing.
Yeah, I really love that. I mean, as we see the Indonesian contingent there, all the support for Rio, but you know, you talk about putting it all on the line in the most critical section of the wave, which is the beginning. If you stuff it up there, you've got the rest of the wave that you're wasting. So already tail slide, and then it was this moment here. I mean, sure, little bit, I mean, there's just so much critical, there's a critical nature to that, and then straight into the barrel. He just basically risked the whole rest of that wave, and you could see he was fired up as he comes out of this tube, whips it around here, tail slide, maybe a little bit caught behind here, but he does well with the rhythm of this wave, providing us with so much variety. Stuffs it in the tube here at the end, and he's not done. He gets more work here on this last end section done. Throws it into the reverse, and nice little bonus 3-0.
Yeah, felt like the way he approached that wave just sort of reflects his general approach to life on tour in his career. He's just squeezing every bit of opportunity. We haven't seen anybody do this. We talk about points of difference and obviously just the repetitive nature of what we're looking at here. We haven't seen anyone do exactly this kind of thing. And it was dynamic and exciting. Saw the finish as well. He gave it so much.
Anything new that we've seen from a surfer so far has generally scored pretty well. You know, I reflect back a couple of days ago. I think about Jordy with the Superman. And, you know, I think about Kanoa with the Corrupt. I think Caity Simmers with that roundhouse. That just that sort of different approach, something that freshens up the judges' minds. You know, we've probably watched. Yeah,
pretty deadly in both directions, but definitely the left. Historically, has been the strength for Italo. He actually, there's a couple of events at the surf fronts. Didn't make a lot of heats last time out. Went all the way to the final. He's close to it again here. He's in the tube. He's traveling. Out he'll come. Ferreira up to the lip. He'll hang one up. Drop down to the flats again. Look how much airdrop he gets before going the layback pocket jam. Now he's thinking about building up some speed. I was wondering whether it would be tube or air. It will be the latter of the two options. It's a massive alley-oop. So much ground covered. And then a really cool Zorro slash, another little head dip, and a little 3 off the soup as well. How about that?
You know, when he went up for that alley-oop, he travelled so much ground, I almost thought he was going to hit the train. I was like, holy. You see, let's wait till this replay goes. I mean, he travelled such a big distance in the air just then. I mean, that was pretty crazy. He's just so fired up. What a good performance. Just slashing his way through these first couple of turns. Look at how much he buried the rail of the board on that second carve. Positions perfectly in this tube. Absolutely stuffed. Comes out and then just gets into these dynamic turns. Airdrops down. You can just tell how critical he is on those 2 turns. Just by that pure factor of that airdrop. Throws in a Larry layback for a little bit of variety. And then this is the moment. Okay, let's just see this. He just lines his section up, hits that. I mean, he just gained so much ground. And he's getting this on lock, right? It's looking almost computer-like. It looks like we're playing Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer right now. It's just he's got this on lock. It is actually insane. Let's watch super slow-mo. Shifts that weight forward. Gathers a lot of speed. Hops it up. And just travels so far, landing completely out in the flats. But he's got it on lock now.
Partly through a relationship with the ocean and Mother Nature and the rhythms of the ocean. Right now, really just tapping into his own rhythms here. His right will come up now, and he'll get involved in our second semi. So out of Western Australia, Jack Robinson doing some nimble work on the outside, real creative into the tube, and he does it really dynamic. So just compressing with the knees and then just tosses up a really steezy, almost kind of lazy air reverse. Look really cool.
Wow.
And then a nice little angry snap the slide into the lip, and he wants a ramp here. He'll go big alley-oop of his own. He'll make that and then slice in. Even just dynamic with that recovery turn as he chops his line, redirects, a finger flick for the finish. What a second semi.
Oh, wow. What a way to answer back. I mean, that was super incredible to watch. He's just cat-like, and he's also just so calm. You know, he stands up and he's making this look effortless. He's making it, at this big setup turn here, he's actually created coping for himself to hit. So gets the fin release. It's this next moment. Lip line, stomps it straight into the tube. This, I mean, how creative is that? It's just sort of, you know, theatrics, really. It's really cool. It's something that we haven't seen. The only person doing that is really Jack. And then risking the whole wave once again in that midsection. Super critical. Through the lip again for another fin throw. And then lines up the end section, much like Italo, gets the alley-oop. So gets that progression as well once again. We heard Reynolds say to Italo before he went out, you've got this, you're strong, you're powerful. Let's see what he's got on this second run here.
Affirmation coming in. Saw how focused he was and determined. Quite a lot of intensity as well in that facial expression from him. A lot of intensity in his surfing as well. This is really loose and nimble sort of stuff. You see just the extras he gets there like that with the tail and again.
Wow.
So not opting for the barrel in this first part. And really dynamic maneuvers. Look how much release he's getting from that tail. So much squirt. He'll reverse that one out and recover. And now a setup. And he just squats for the tube and completely disappears as well. So very well managed. There's a big rangy carve and snap. Another, a third from him, giving it absolute pelters, lows. You think about, reminds me a bit of just a mirror image of that wave that we saw from Rio Waida with those 3 cracks on the end, the tube time as well. Italo Ferreira, great chance of improving the 6.83.
Yeah, big score loading, I'd say. That was so well done. I mean, sort of went to his strengths there, which was the power. That's what Reynolds was telling him. You're powerful, you're strong.
Doesn't try and get that first tube section.
Yeah, which I think is actually super smart. I mean, he's using what, you know, Reynolds said is his strength, his power. And look at it here. I mean, such a great demonstration of that. And these are not easy sections to hit. He basically grinded. Those couple of 2 turns that we just saw, he's 3 turns. Across that lip, 4. I mean, just with so much power too. They're not, you know, you can easily get mistaken between tail sides and grinding across the lip with no power, but he is doing it with power as well. So tricky to do. And then he registers, okay, I'm on my way to a good score here. Let's just stuff it in this tube. Let's not do anything too crazy here. Just get the finish. Be calculated here at the end. But this is going to be a hefty score. I mean, look at that moment. Just so critical. Here we go. This is one of those moments. He's literally grinding across the lip of that wave with so much power and acceleration. Once again, here we go, number 2. Grinds across the face of that lip as well. And you can just see how critical it is. When he lands, those fins are just disengaging and engaging again. Once again, for the 3rd time, grinds across that lip, just looking so large and in charge and in control. And just throwing a little bit of creativity in there as well.
Just absolute class. Now a chance to improve again for him. So Italo wants to get to the final. Went their last time out, didn't get the win. It stung a bit. Let's see how he goes about getting back there right now. He's already on excellent numbers. He's in the tube right here, behind the curtain, disappearing. Out he'll come.
Stop it.
He'll just waft one out. The air reverse on the face. Just adjusting that wetsuit cuff. There's a bit of a flex as well between the maneuvers. And now a ramp for him, Ferreira.
Holy.
He is having a hell time out there. Massive alley-oop again. And he'll snap the finish as well. So similar sort of stuff to what we saw before, but everything just feels even more intense, even bigger.
Like he's locked into a 6th sense right now. I mean, he is absolutely large and in charge right now. That was such an incredible wave surfed by Italo. I mean, talk about going big or going home. I mean, he is leaving nothing on the table right now. Let me tell you, when he hits that surface deck, he is going to be one fired up human being. Let's see this wave. Let's break it down. In the tube. It's the moment after this that we're all really excited about. Pops it up in the air in the most critical section of the wave and bangs off a couple of nice other maneuvers after this, and he's like, okay, let's line up here. Let's see what we've got, and just goes supersonic into the air. Once again, sort of a bit more critical even, if, as you will, landing in that cupped out section of the wave. And beautiful claim there. It's just stunning work. But this maneuver here, critical section of the wave, the rest of the wave at risk. You can see how difficult that landing was. Has to be joyant.
It's outrageous, really, from him. His approach is just mad. He's got so much amplitude, so much pop, but the audacity of where to do some of these turns, aside from just how technical and crazy big they are, they're absolutely huge. Italo Ferreira, what a second semi we're seeing. Rio Waida awaits in the final. Who's he going to match up against? And here he is, just watching the replay there. Look at him. I mean, you would enjoy it, wouldn't you? Caity Simmers about to get involved here. Her first wave of the women's final. Simmers been electrifying throughout with her approach. Doing some really different stuff, even from the takeoff of that drive down towards the fence and the big roundy. Right now, it's more traditional in terms of the approach to the maneuvers, but the maneuvers are great. And then that first turn sets her up for a crazy tube. A little extra on that one, almost double the length of some of the others we've seen. Check the carving work from her. Little jam in the lip, tapping with the back foot. Oof. Giving it loads there as well. So smooth for that entry.
No way.
Just flicks off the speed with a snap into the tube. And on the face with another snap. She'll just catch the nose on the last maneuver, but the flow throughout that was crazy.
Shouldn't leave any marrow on that bone, Paul. That was excellent surfing right there. I just absolutely love to see that. Different lines, explosive. That's what we like to see. Final is on.
Women's finals happening here. Here, another look at Caity.
So whips it out of the top, parks it in the tube. I like that little stall. I mean, this is seriously deep. She's on that foam ball there. She's got a perfect read of this. One of the longer tube rides we've seen from the women. And then for me, it was all about these that setup turn into that fin throw. She basically created that coping for herself to hit. Then parks it in the tube incredibly late on this end section. And generally when we see people enter that last section really late to that barrel, they're not coming out. So, and I suspect big things.
The last right-hander of the event here for Molly Picklum. And she'll need to go with real quality. Looking to go excellent to stay in touch here. try and get in front in this heat. She's under a bit of pressure from the opening run of Simmers, and she's given it absolute pelters on the outside before the tube section. So squeezing loads out of the first section. Tube riding's good. Now makes room down at the bottom of the wave, lays down a carve with power, driving that bottom turn, and snapping out the tail in the lip again. Similar stuff, and she'll need to go fast here. She goes real fast. She's covering ground. She's out of a deep tube ride. Lays a hammer on the rail, and a really nice turn to finish as well. So loads more there from Molly.
That was absolutely epic. That's exactly what she needed to do in that situation. You could really see it. She was pushing hard. She was setting up sections for herself. For me, I could see a bit more intensity than that earlier 7. I feel like she was giving it more. Just the read was a bit better. The rhythm was better on that wave. Let's have a look. Just already, you know, initially the set up into that tube, the fin throw, parks it in there, gets pretty deep. But for me, it's this big carve down, right? She actually creates coping for herself to hit. You watch, she goes up and actually tags this bit of foam. And then just once again, so critical and so late into this tube, gets so much time underneath the cover, backs it up with a big layback and tags it. So I get a better feeling than 7 personally. I think there's more energy in this wave. I think there's more spark.
It felt a lot better, didn't it? Think about the finish as well, that speedy entry into the tube. And from how far back she was, it always just gives you that bit of jeopardy in terms of this being a risky, are you going to make this maneuver? Why did she put that in there, Flick?
It's so hard to get, like if you get caught behind on this wave, it keeps you honest really quickly. So, I mean, she just really impressed me on that wave.
Here we go, love this action. So the last ride for Caity Simmers, world champ, driving for the fence, swooping back, banking off the white water, and then up. Super crisp and critical, gives that loads, and that's audacious.
Wow.
She waits with the bottom turn. Wow, really deep traveling. Simmers had no right to make it out of that, but she does somehow. That's why she's the world champ. She's ripping here, crazy as she compresses through that turn, tweaking out the tail, the recovery into the tube so late. Simmers traveling and down.
Holy moly. Wow, wow, wow. That is why Caity Simmers is the world champ. I mean, disbelief there from Griff. That was incredible. You could just see Molly before being like, come on, just give it to me so that I can ask the question of Caity. And I mean, I'm looking forward to breaking this down. This is what we like to see. The big roundhouse, using so much of the face of the wave, just drawing such a different line. She creates the coping for herself to hit. Again, so late up into the tube. This was seriously deep. Some tube piggery. Almost loses it there and then comes around this section. Big carve down again, creating that coping. Gets that fin release, and another one she tries to do the same thing again, you know, just have that mastery to come out of that second barrel, but doesn't get the finish. Will it be enough without that finish? I mean, I'm thinking there was some seriously great surfing going on here. Just so stylish, so casual, different read on the wave. I think the roundhouse for me and the tube time alone was pretty spectacular.
In terms of a turn into the tube, the entry in with the bottom turn, and then the turn after exiting. Think of that as a combo of 3 distinct things. Crazy stuff. Just a touch late, trying to sneak under there. So entertaining.
His whole surfing life started by surfing on the lid of his father's ice chest at a young age in Bahia Formosa, a little running right, and look who he's turned into, one of the best ever, as he is running into a beautiful right. Perfection on demand here at Surf Abu Dhabi. Hitting the lip well, and how about that rock and roll float? Transitions in the flats and drills it. Italo on fire. just will not stop, deciding not to worry about that opening barrel. He can't stop swinging. Jams the fins out, extends it off the bottom, back over the roof again. Now styling into the end section pit. Italo putting his head down. Nice exit, driving a big vertical. And now bonus section to throw that silky reverse that he's been greasing all event. Italo hitting that point where he could basically do anything he wants. We saw that happen in his quarterfinal, and he's just been building ever since.
I'm really in disbelief. Like, people are struggling or have been struggling to do a turn after that barrel, and he's just transitioning like there's nothing, like straight up to the bottom. There are no thoughts in his mind right now. It's just reaction to what's in front of him, and so much speed and finesse. Probably fit about 10 turns right there, back to back. It's so impressive the type of surfing Italo is doing right now on this right-hander. And a deep barrel. And finish it off with one more massive turn. And a blowtail reverse. Like, the transitions right there, like, it gives you no time to think for you to do that. So just try to apply that 5 times back to back. Or 6, I don't even know. I lost count of, I lost track of it. That's why I don't know how he kept everything so clean.
Reynolds Hayes coaching Italo and Rio into this clash in the final. He put so much love into his practice, really cares about his athletes, and doing a great job with these 2 different personalities. Italo jamming that one into the guts of the wave, now sits inside the pit. He's going to enjoy that view. Ferreira now blitzing that section, wide open canvas to play with, and he is in sync. Now stalling, waiting. That means he's looking for a little runway. Now he's got it clear for takeoff. Ferreira launching the alley-oop. Lays into that open face wrap and then chucks the tail out to reverse it on the end section. Italo's acting like Superman. Just threw down the 8.67, now a big number heading his way on the left.
And then just a pair of excellent surfing to start off the heat. Intensity, how do you keep that intensity throughout that long of a period in a wave? Keeps your focus throughout the whole day since 10 a.m. this morning.
There's Reynolds right there with the hat on. Such a kind spirit, travels with the Aloha spirit in his heart and just loves to surf as well, but this is probably as good as it gets for a coach. Watching this.
I mean, this is so impressive from him. I mean, if I have to criticize something about this wave, right? Like, he lost a little bit of time after this barrel. Wave scopes it under. You see his pushes right there, and he kind of almost dig his nose, so he loses a little bit of speed, so he's just a touch behind still. Pushes through it. That's just being overcritical. And then it goes for a massive alley-oop, straight into a beautiful layback carve. Kind of getting a release after that and finish it off with another nice reverse. That was incredible. The transition from that alley-oop to the carve was impressive. That's what we're going to see right there. As usual, launches with 90 miles per hour, but exits out of the launch with 150 miles per hour. It's so impressive how much speed he gains in the air.